If you've watched this show before, then you know that we believe very much in LaNorris Sellers. In fact, I believe so much in the guy, I put him as my number one returning quarterback, not just in the SEC, in all of college football. Now, obviously, some of that is a little bit of a projection, and a lot of what he did at the end of the year factors into that. But if that's the case, what does that mean for South Carolina? So if you're new to the show, welcome. Make sure you are subscribed, whether you're a South Carolina fan or just a college football sicko, junkie, degenerate. I think we covered all our bases there. Make sure you're locked in. Best way to be locked in is by being subscribed, so thank you for that. We're going to unpack why we believe LaNorris Sellers is so special and then what that could mean for South Carolina in the scope of the 2025 season. Now, I'm about to say something that's going to sound a little bit hyperbolic. Roll with me here. LaNorris Sellers, to me, I said this before, but I'll say it again. LaNorris Sellers is not Cam Newton. Hear me very clearly. Two different players, two different eras. Cam Newton obviously has one of the best, if not the best, college football season of all time to his name, winning the Heisman and winning the Natty. But with that being said, when I watch LaNorris Sellers, I can't help but have a lot of the same feelings as I did when I watched Cam Newton play quarterback. Now, we'll unpack that a little bit. But like Cam Newton, when you watched him ball, he just did things that quarterbacks, quite frankly, don't do. Like the physical presence he has is one thing, but like turning negatives into positives, y'all, the same things that I saw Cam Newton do in a similar fashion I'm watching LaNorris Sellers do right now at South Carolina. Like the Clemson game is a perfect example. Broke 18 tackles. I don't care if you're a running back, if you're a receiver, who you are. Breaking 18 tackles against a good Clemson defense, mind you. That's not nothing. That in itself is an accomplishment. Cato and I were talking before this too, and he brought up a great stat. LaNorris Sellers in that game specifically had more yards after contact than he did yards in the game rushing. Why is that significant? Turning negatives into positives. You know how you have more yards after contact than you do running the football overall? You break a lot of tackles in the backfield. Clemson was bringing heat, getting pressure, getting free, and LaNorris Sellers would just shrug it off, evade pressure, get north and south, run for a touchdown, run for a first down, keep his eyes downfield, make a throw downfield. Like the things that he does at the quarterback position, I'm telling you, this is special. This is special stuff we're seeing. And we saw it in a smaller sample size a season ago because he was still figuring out how to play quarterback in the SEC and play college football, period, as a first-year starter. You don't have to squint to see how good he's going to be. Like a lot of these quarterbacks across the country, we have the discussion right now, well, hey, if they can do this, that, and the other, if they can take that next step, if they can put it together. And it's not a question of, LaNorris Sellers so much, accomplishing those things as much as we're talking about him, putting it together and taking the next step in general as well. But we're not asking LaNorris Sellers to do something he's never done before. Like if LaNorris Sellers plays the way that he did during the month of November, the entirety of this upcoming season, South Carolina's going to be in the playoff, y'all. And again, this sounds hyperbolic. This sounds hot takey and clickbaity, whatever. We're fine with that because this is how I feel. Like we're not saying things we don't mean just to say things we don't mean on this show. We respect this game too much. We respect college football too much and the people that are a part of it. So with that being said, what does that mean for South Carolina going forward if LaNorris Sellers is who I'm telling you we believe he's going to be in 2025? South Carolina, from a roster standpoint, is in a good position. Are they the best in the SEC? No, I think South Carolina fans feel that way as well. Texas exists. Georgia exists. Now, you don't play either of those teams, more on the schedule in a little bit. But from a pure roster comparison perspective, South Carolina is not yet on par with some of those teams in the SEC that you expect to compete for the college football playoff. That's fine. But, again, going back to the Cam Newton discussion, not comparison, but discussion. Cam Newton and that Auburn team, he had a ridiculous season, and they made the national title game and won the SEC because there was a lot of games where, Auburn may not have the better roster. Now, Auburn had a lot of NFL dudes, so roll with me here. But Cam Newton, in a lot of games, made the difference. Cam Newton just put the team on his back, said, this is how we're going to live this Saturday. We got number 2. You don't. Game blouses. That could be the same thing for LaNorris Sellers here. That could be the exact same situation South Carolina finds themselves in. Hey, listen, LSU, it's Death Valley. You'd imagine Death Valley at night. Yeah, you have a top 5 portal class. Yeah, I love Garrett Nussmeier. I'm very high on LSU. I think LSU's a playoff team as well. With that being said, if LaNorris Sellers is in his bag the way that he was the first half of that game before he was injured, South Carolina may just be the team that ends up finding a way multiple times this year. And the schedule in itself, too, I think makes a lot of sense when you talk about the things on the table in front of South Carolina. Like, we had this conversation just now about talent disparity between South Carolina and some of these other teams. You don't play a Georgia. You don't play a Texas. You don't play a Tennessee. Florida is kind of a trendy pick right now for a lot of folks. You don't play them with DJ Lagway and company. The beginning of the schedule for South Carolina should, keyword should, set up for them to be 5-0 as they roll into the month of October. What do we know about Shane Beamer coach teams? What do we know about LaNorris Sellers quarterback teams? If we want to go back to last season, they play their best football October into November. You got Cocktober, you got Crowember, and things tend to go pretty well for those teams under Shane Beamer during those stretches. And that's important because of the way the schedule ratchets up pretty quickly, with LSU being your first game of the year, or first game, of October, so first game of the, second half of your year, if you will, if you're South Carolina. The bottom line here is, I love the way it ramps up for South Carolina. I love the fact that they got a dude at quarterback, Lenoris Sellers, who can make the difference for you, I think, every single Saturday. And I also love the fact that you got a lot of your big games at home, like Bama, Oklahoma, Clemson, all of them at the crib. We've seen what Willie B can be for you. All right, we've seen what that home field advantage is when you have to roll in there and play them, whether it be a night game or otherwise. Like, it's a real home field advantage, to say the least, for the folks out there in Columbia, South Carolina. They make sure you feel them every single Saturday. So the pushback that I think we'll get around Lenoris Sellers' opinion is, well, JD, as a passer, yeah, it's true he's a freak show athlete. It's true that he's tough to bring down and all those things you just mentioned, we get it. But, like, as a passer, I need to see more. And I hear you. But the I need to see more discussion is interesting because I think you saw more towards the end of the year. Like, if you're going to take a 30,000-foot view and just check the box score and say, Lenoris Sellers didn't even throw for 25 touchdowns. Like, the guy's still progressing, all this, that, and the other. That's true. But how he finished the season, throwing 5 tubs against Missouri, the way that he had 66% completion percentage on the season as a whole, everyone's knocking South Carolina for losing the Illinois game. Y'all, one, Illinois is a good team, and I think will be a top 15, top 20 outfit going into next year. The second part, Lenoris Sellers completed 70% of his passes in that game and didn't have all the help that you would hope you would have in a bowl game spot where, your running back's not playing and you have other opt-outs, whatever. Lenoris Sellers in that game, I think, proved on multiple spots, guy can throw the football. And if that's the jumping off point for your first year as a starter, and the schedule sets up the way that it is, and you pair all the physical giftings that he has, the things that you can't coach, I love South Carolina. I love Lenoris Sellers going into next year. And we bought a lot of stock at the end of last year. Y'all were holding it. Right? If someone tries to approach you to buy your South Carolina stock, and they offer you a good price, I'm telling you right now it's going to be worth a lot more over the course of the next coming months because of all the things we just spoke to with Lenoris Sellers and with South Carolina. So let me know your thoughts here in the comment section. Get at me on the socials, Instagram, Twitter, at JD PicKell. We're buying all the stock we can find in Sellers and the Gamecocks. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.